Hi guys, my name is Barrie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now today, we are not in South Africa. Indeed, we've taken a plane, hopped on it and traveled to the United Kingdom. And we are at the Hampton Court Palace because as you can see behind me, there are one or two very delectable cars because this is the Hampton Court Concourse of Elegance. So, welcome to my YouTube channel and I hope you're going to stay tuned because as you can see, today's video is going to be very different. It's going to be very, very special. Right, so we are going to start at the beginning and there is an entire line of Bentleys down there and quite frankly, there are too many cars here to actually cover. So we're going to do like a whistle top tour. So of course we have to start with something modern, the Maserati MC20 rather. So yeah, this is the first time I've seen it in person. So I don't know how many we'll get of these in South Africa, but alas, that is the way it is. So here is a whole line of Maseratis. I'm not entirely sure what many of them are called, but many of which we obviously don't get in South Africa, especially the classics. But it's so cool to see them over here. So I think that's a Bora, I might be mistaken. But these old classic Maseratis, they do look good. These also very pretty. I do believe this is a 350 something or other. You'll see the badge. Maserati. No, it's not the 350, but either way. Oh yeah, here, the 3500 GT. I think they are unbelievably beautiful. Very much so. So let's have a look at them. Superleggera styling. Yeah. It's so good to see all of these classics that we'd never otherwise see in South Africa, which is phenomenal. But moving on, there are some very fruity cars coming up. So I'll catch you in a few moments. Right, so here we get on to some things and I'm sure you can see a very sneaky car that we for sure don't get in South Africa. So starting off here with the classic Aston Martin, a 365 Daytona, and the Mercedes AMG Project 1. So this, of course, is a very, I don't want to say controversial car, but it struggled to come into existence because, of course, behind here we have the engine of the Mercedes 2016 Formula 1 car. So this is quite literally a car with a Formula 1 engine in it. And to see one in person is ridiculous. Of course, it's got a hybrid element to it as well, so it does have some electric bits and bobs. But to be able to see it in person is just so cool. So you see that massive exhaust pipe. They're very unique styling. In terms of the styling, I don't think it's necessarily my favorite aesthetic design as such. But of course, you've got that square steering wheel, as does Formula 1 vehicles. But yeah, to be able to see it in person is absolutely phenomenal. So very cool to see that here. Another Bentley, an old Jag, I believe. So that's cool to see that. An old Rolls Royce. Very cool cars. And trust me, the best is yet to come. Yeah, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there are some very, very delectable cars. So of course you've got a Porsche 356 Speedster rather, Lamborghini Countach, Ferrari 308, I believe, or 328. Here we have an Aston Martin DBR-S9, which is a race car. I believe they raced at Le Mans. So very cool to see that. But over here, a car, technically we have one in the country, in South Africa, but we do not have many of them. Well, certainly we don't have any on the roads. I believe the collector keeps it in his storage or underground somewhere. But this is no ordinary 4GT. You'll see there is blue, I don't think it's carbon fiber. It's very dark blue. Carbon fiber wheels, tick. Here's the blue carbon fiber. I'm not sure if the camera can pick it up. But at the back, if we come around, this is not just the GT, but the GT LM, which is so cool. Of course, this car was introduced, I believe, in 2016-ish. Ford going back to Le Mans. And this was the result. I think it's a 3.5 litre V6 EcoBoost. I think it should have been a V8, but that's just me. Yeah, so it's super cool to be able to see one of these in person. And I believe this is the Low Drag GT hand-built car, everything hand-built. Absolutely phenomenal to be able to see this. And an old Maserati Formula 1 car, I think. Right, now we move on to some classic Aston Martins. I believe this is a DB4. I stand to be corrected on that, but very cool to see it here. Old Porsche race car. Some more old vehicles, old Alfa Romeo, another old Porsche race car, and apparently a ex-James Hunt Formula 1 McLaren. That is not the last Formula 1 car you will see in this video. So here we've got some old... Okay. I don't know what that is. I think it's the old Porsche. Oh no, it's not. 288 GTO. Let's go and see that. Wasn't that just simply lovely? Absolutely ridiculous, and that is pretty much setting the tone for the rest of the day to come. Of course, let's go and check out the Porsche 918 Spider over there. But they'll be going around, so they'll be coming back. But that's pretty cool. Some more old Aston Martins. This is a very interesting car. This is a Zagato-styled vehicle. Aston Martin. I believe it's based on the Vantage. The V12, yeah, the V12 Vantage, I think, if I stand to be corrected, but very cool to see those here. I mean, you just never see them in South Africa. An old Bentley blower, I think, but here we come to things that I'm very much interested in. Formula 1, I believe this is a 2014 or 2015 Formula 1 car driven by Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. First time seeing a modern F1 car. Pretty much, well, okay, this is almost 10 years old, but let's be honest, this is pretty cool to see in person. You can just check inside there. It's just absolutely tiny, and to be able to see this, which is, let's be honest, one of the most dominant F1 cars in the history of the sport, it's just fantastic to be able to see it. Let's go and have a look around the back. Of course, this was when the new hybrid era was introduced with the V6s. So yeah, absolutely insane to see this. This is a 1988 Nigel Mansell Ferrari, which is cool to see. So, very cool to see that. A Tyrrell, Jody Scheckter Tyrrell. It does appear to be 6-wheeled Formula 1 car, which is very interesting to see as well. So cool to see that. And then we have some older F1 cars as well, very old F1 cars from the 1950s. Old Maserati, which is cool to see, and a 1950s Mercedes F1 car, so that is very cool. But as I say, that is not even the best to come, because over here we have something pretty insane, unbelievably insane, something that I never thought I'd ever see in my life. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the Ferrari FXXK Evo, Ferrari's limited edition version of the La Ferrari, which became the FXX, and then this, or the FXXK should I rather say, then this, the FXXK Evo, has even more power, even more aero, and even more noise. This, for me, is one of the cars that I never thought I'd see, and I think it's absolutely insane to see it in person. Ridiculous. Here we have, I believe it's a 2021 or a 2020 Racing Point Formula 1 car. So here we're getting even more modern. And yeah, the aerodynamics on this is just insane. Just have a look at everything. Yeah, so I mean, this is pretty cool, but that is not all. Because here we have the McLaren F1 GTR, another vehicle that you just never see in South Africa. Never mind the F1, of course we had, I believe, 2 F1s at one point. Both of them have departed the country, but this is a car that went racing at Le Mans. Did I ever think I'd see one? Probably not, but here we are, McLaren F1 GTR. How absolutely bazonkers is that? Right, now we get to some even more insane cars. Many 1960s Ferraris. Once again, things that I would probably never see back home. But here we have a 250 GT California Spider, which is worth many millions of pounds. Here we have a Porsche 911 Carrera 2.8 RSR. Very wealthy. individual that owns that, I'm assuming. And this, I've seen F40s before, but I've certainly not seen an F40 LM. Have a look at this vehicle. It is ridiculous. Pretty much a race car, made for the racetrack. Certainly don't see many of them. I'm not sure how many were made in total, but you can be sure there aren't too many of them made. Look at the engine. Look at the engine. Look at that. Absolutely insane. So this may be a very long video, but be prepared, and it's going to be worth it. Trust me, there are even more awesome cars. The Mercedes-Benz C11, also Le Mans racer. The Porsche GT1 Evo. Lots of Le Mans race cars. This, I'm not entirely sure what it is. A Ferrari 3. Hey, we've actually got one of these in South Africa, I believe, at the Ferrari dealership. So it's cool to see one over here. Porsche 911 Singer Classic. Of course, we know Singers are worth a few monies. But here we go, the Ferrari, La Ferrari. Now we do have, I believe, one that hides away in South Africa. Another individual who potentially, well, he brings them over from abroad. But you see, I mean, you hardly ever see this. And this is, of course, a 70th anniversary version of the La Ferrari. And it's just sublime to be able to see one of these in person. So cool. Over here, Porsche 935. Of course, this is also a limited edition, only track version car. So it's cool to see this. Ferrari SF90 XX. First time seeing the XX. Of course, we have a few of these back at home. But yeah, matte red paint, which is interesting to see. Not my personal choice in the black wheels, but very, very cool. Let's have a look at the back, actually. When in Rome. Have a look at the crazy design. Of course, this being the first road-going XX car, so I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the fact that it's an XX, but alas. Then the Porsche GT3R Rennsport. Also looks like a track-only car. But you may see, next to the Rennsport, we have the Ferrari Daytona SP3. A car that we certainly don't get back home because they only made it in a left-hand drive, so nobody can bring them into the country permanently. But this car has got a lovely carbon fiber body. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like a dark red carbon fiber. And to be able to see one of these in person is just insane. Look at the rear on this. Oh, I wasn't really sure about this car when it was introduced, but now that I've seen it in person, I'll take 2. Thank you very much. What a phenomenal, phenomenal car. How cool is that? So there we go. But alas, that is not all. So here we've got an old Bugatti. And as we walk up past some more things, there are lots of old cars that I don't really know a lot about, so we'll just skip through them. There are some more cars over there that we'll go and have a look at. This is pretty, I think, valuable. This is a Bugatti Type 57 Atlante. You can be sure that this is a lot of money sitting here. Moving on, some more old cars, some more 1960s Ferraris 275. And here we have some old Aston Martins. This is the DB5. Of course, what would a trip to England be without seeing an Aston Martin DB5? Ferrari 335, I think. So old Maseratis. This is the 3500 GT Vignale Spider. Another older Ferrari, Maserati Mistral, and some more Aston Martins. So those are the cars to be seen here. I think it's time to go and see some more, even more special cars, because I don't really know what to say about everything that's here, but I'll catch you just now. So here we've got more modern things, Rolls-Royce Phantom. Now I've been very privileged to spend quite a bit of time in the Phantom in a previous job, so cool to see this. An older Rolls-Royce car, but this is a very special Rolls-Royce Spectre. So this is actually a limited edition version, well, limited edition. They're making a few bespoke versions of the Spectre. So you'll see this wheel design is something that no other Spectre will have. This is all part of it. The hand-painted coach line and the details along there. On the inside, as you can see, it's also very, very cool, very special details on the veneer. You can see that's bespoke there. The Starlight headliner is a specific constellation as well. and on the door cards and on the headrests. Of course, you'll see all those. So this is the Primavera version of the Spectre. Very elegant car. I've also been fortunate enough to spend some time in the Spectre. So yeah, as you can see here, very, very cool. Inspired by Primavera. And over here you can see the nice details. And in the Starlight headliner, it will be a specific constellation. And the woodwork, of course, Rolls-Royce, pretty much the epitome of luxury. So there's nothing quite like this. So fantastic to see that. But let's move on to the Lamborghinis. Right, so here we have the Lamborghini Urus SE, which is the new hybrid version. But we don't care about that because we care about this. The Lamborghini Miura. This is no any Miura. This is the Super Veloce, the SV. And my word, it's an honor to see one of these in person. We don't have too many Miuras in South Africa. Certainly don't have an SV, I don't believe. But this is cool, the Miuras. And the first car obviously having the SV badge. This is the first supercar ever. So it's cool to see it here. Very, very nice to see a Miura, absolutely. Just taking everything in. It's just, it feels surreal to see all of these cars in one place. Here we have the new Temerario. Yeah, twin turbo V8, the V10 is gone, but it revs to 10,000 RPM. Now, who knows if I'll be able to experience one in the future. The rear, I will say, the rear design of this is pretty spectacular, so well done Lamborghini for that. But yeah, I'm not convinced about the V8. Sure, it's fast, but is it a V10? I don't think it is. But now we move on to the proper cars. The Maserati MC12 Corsa. Did I think I'd ever see this car? No, I did not. What a machine to see this. Of course, this is Joe Macari, and he's very well known for his race cars that he owns and runs and drives and races. So this is a big treat. Another Ferrari 275. But here we have one of my childhood heroes, based on the Ferrari Enzo, designed very differently and a lot rarer than the Ferrari Enzo. I can't recall off the top of my head how many they've made, but I believe it's around 20. It's really a handful of cars that were ever made. This has got a beautiful pearlescent paint that I hope comes across on camera. But just to see this, it's just insane to be able to witness a car like this in person. Of course, it is an convertible, and have a look on the inside. Tight carbon fiber everywhere. Of course, this being about 2003, 2004-ish, I believe. So to be able to see this is just phenomenal, and what a pleasure to be making a YouTube video. So here's the Porsche 918 Spider that just briefly left. And of course, we do have one of these in South Africa, but it never gets driven because it's left-hand drive, so the owner can't drive it. So to be able to see one, I have seen one in person, but to be able to see it again, and inside is pretty cool as well. Of course, we're the only car. Of course, we have the LaFerrari here. We have the 918 here, but there isn't a P1, sadly. But lovely blue color. So cool to see this as well. Right, next line of amazing cars, Ferrari 250mm, one of the first Ferraris ever made. Yes, a lot of money sitting there. Old Aston Martin DB3S Coupe, old Ferrari 212 Barchetta, also one of the very first Ferrari road cars, Ferrari 212 Inter, Jaguar C-Type, a Jaguar D-Type. You see, the thing is, right, there are lots of replicas in South Africa, but when you're here in the UK, you know this will be a real D-Type. In other words, a fantabulously rare car. Another rare Ferrari, another 212. This is a AC Ace Bristol. Lots of old British cars. I'm not going to act like I know anything about them, but it's cool to see them anyway. Old Mercedes, old Bentley, for BMW 507. Now this is actually very, very beautiful. I do love the design on this. I think it's superbly elegant. Look at that interior. You can just see this car's just been meticulously maintained. Left-hand drive. Beautiful, beautiful car from Switzerland, as it turns out. Now here we get to some more very expensive Ferraris, a 250 California. How beautiful is this car? This paint color is insane. The styling is beautiful. 1960s Ferrari styling are just, I mean, that's why they're valuable. That's why they're worth so much. Look at the interior of this car. It's just insane to be able to see it in person. Like, it's just beautiful. Now here is an interesting Mercedes that has been recently promoted by the F1 team. So this is from Mercedes-Benz Classic. It's the C111. And I mean, have a look at this. How cool is that? Absolutely beautiful. Gullwing. So yeah, there aren't too many of these in the world, I can tell you that much. So being able to see one is really, really cool. So here, another, this is the ISO Grifo. Also quite a rare car. So to be able to see this is pretty cool. Ligier, BMW M1 over there. Some old Aston Martins. But if you know, you know. This little blue car here. Bugatti EB110. Probably one of the ugliest cars in my opinion. It looks like an insect that has been squashed. However, it is a Bugatti and it is very rare. And to be able to see one is very, very cool. So there we go. Bugatti EB110. Another DBRS9. So we'll move through here because coming up we've got a car that we don't find in South Africa. The McLaren SLR 722. Now we do have a SLR Roadster, but not a 722. The limited edition version of the McLaren Mercedes SLR. So to be able to see this is very, very cool. Oh, look at this. I mean, it's like, you just put it this way. As a person, I'm sure you've all got heroes that you look up to. As a car person, you've got cars that you look up to, cars that you grew up with, you know, watching on TV and YouTube, and you never think that you'll actually be able to see them. Pretty much all of the cars here are my heroes, so to be able to see it is fantastic. Now here, we've got a very beautifully spec'd Ferrari F12 TDF. Now, I have been very privileged to go in the TDF a few years ago, but this is a historic color for Ferrari, I believe, with the French flag in terms of the stripes. One of my favorite cars of all time. I'd say probably top 2 favorite cars. I think this is a superb spec, and I think we need to try and have a go in one of these again. And old Aston Martin Vantage and a Bentley. So that is that. Let's go have a look to see if there are any more fruity cars to look at. So this, I was very excited to see because when I first saw this, I thought it was an original Alfa Romeo Tipo 33 Stradale. As it turns out, it is a recreation. It's not a real car, but nevertheless, I mean, you'd still never see anything like this in South Africa. Very, very beautiful car to see indeed. But that is one thing. Here we're coming to the more modern Aston Martins. So this is the Aston Martin Valiant, a limited edition car. I believe they're only making 42 of these worldwide, developed together with Mr. Fernando Alonso. To be able to see one of these, pretty cool. Look at those exhaust pipes. They are proper exhaust pipes. Making use of a 5.2 litre twin turbo V12 manual gearbox, lest we forget. You can look inside there. The glare is pretty much blocking it, but there you can see the manual. Very unique wheels, very cool spec for this car. I mean, how cool is this? How cool is this Aston Martin Valiant? We do, I believe, have a Valor in South Africa, but certainly not a Valiant. But here, the brand new Aston Martin Valhalla. So this is Aston Martin's first mid-engine supercar that they have built. And to be able to see it in person for the first time is rather special. So fantastic to see it. I don't know if South Africa will be getting, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. 999 of them built worldwide. Of course, the cool butterfly doors. And inside you'll see it's a carbon fiber tub. Carbon fiber tub, and you move this, I don't think you move the pedals, no you don't. But how cool is that? I mean, it's pretty fantastic interior. It's just carbon fiber everywhere. Yeah, 4 litre twin turbo V8. It's a hybrid as well, so you'll have some electric power. See the top mounted exhausts here. So I imagine this is quite a speedy vehicle. So there we go. The Aston Martin Valhalla and of course the DB12. But compared to all the other cars, yeah, I think the DB12, although let's be honest, British racing green, dark green Aston Martin is definitely not something that is sore on the eyes.
To carry this name until recent times, following the 250 GTO, one of those absolute and the winner. They benefited from 300 unique components, including carbon strike brakes. What a wonderful motor car! It is a future classic, and it's come third place in the future classics class. And second in this class, you can talk about this, Peter, is this amazing 2025 Ferrari SP3 Daytona car. Sharing this with us because personally it's the first time I've seen it, so it's good enough for me. And would you like to announce the winner of the Future Classics class? I would indeed, Richard. The winner is the 1994 Bugatti EB110 America Progetto 33. The Italian Bugatti pioneered the hypercar area with the world's first carbon fibre monocoque. Because if a manufacturer wins, then the private owners are concerned, and if it doesn't win, the manufacturer is somewhat disappointed. So this year we created a new class. Ladies and gentlemen, was the 1990 Ferrari F40LM, a very rare motor car, part of the 2025 collection. It's not coming out, but what a deserving winner. This delightful Jaguar D-Type on everybody's bucket list. Thanks, Philip. And the second place in the sports racer category is another car, great favourite of mine. The winner for the 1950s. We're 99 years old, but it's wonderful. It's just wonderful, just absolutely wonderful. I love the enthusiasm. What we'd like to do, I think, is we are going to move on to the Decade Awards.
So there you are. I hope you enjoyed today's video as much as I did, and as you can see, I thought this would probably be the best place because those are two cars that I'd never thought I'd ever see, and today's just been an absolute honor and privilege to witness all the cars that so many cars that I'd never thought I'd see. So I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I give all glory to God for this opportunity to be here and to witness cars like that. I wish you could hear it though. Maybe a little bit later we'll be able to hear it. But alas, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to share and subscribe. Let me know, what was your favorite car out of this entire video? I don't think I could possibly choose a favorite. So until next time, thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.